Emerson, Small Biz Lady, America's #1 small business expert. And I am so excited to welcome you to another episode of the Small Biz Chat podcast. And let me tell you, we have an amazing show for you today. We're going to be talking about how to legally reduce your tax burden and create generational wealth through your business. We're also going to talk about the book business. Everybody thinks they want to get a book deal. Well, we're going to talk about the pros and cons of all of that. And if you have been struggling to grow your business, I want to know, have you ever thought about looking into supplier diversity programs? And we have a top expert in that industry who's going to talk to us today about how you might be able to give yourself a leg up by leveraging certification and supplier diversity. So today we're going to talk about how to leverage your business to become your own bank. I don't know how many of you guys know, but 8,000 loans are turned down by banks every day in America. But what if you could be your own bank? So we're going to talk about how you can use more of your business's money so that you don't have to beg a bank for a loan anymore if you need money to grow your business. We're also going to talk about how if you're thinking about building your thought leadership with a book, what does it really take to do that? And what if you want to hire a ghostwriter to help you? We're going to talk about that. And have you ever thought about looking at the supply chain, looking at another way to get into a Fortune 500 corporation you want to do business with? Well, listen, if you're a veteran, if your business is in a hub zone, if you are a minority, woman-owned business, there's lots of ways to get more opportunities to do business either with the federal government or corporations. And we're going to be talking about that. Now, the Small Biz Chat podcast really is a peer-to-peer mentoring show. We always bring in amazing experts who give you advice that otherwise you would have to pay for. Now, the mission of Small Biz Chat is to end small business failure. So we give you advice from different angles because the whole goal is to help you take your business to the next level. Now, today's guests are premium finance expert, Dr. Verneka Murphy, best-selling business ghostwriter, Marcia Layton Turner, and supplier diversity strategist, Sharon Manker. I'm excited to learn more from all of them. Now, let me introduce my guest, Dr. Verneka Murphy. She is a premium finance expert and business leader. She's the CEO of the Multimillionaire Consulting Group. She specializes in transforming wealth building strategies that utilize leverage. Her company's signature system, the Business Trifecta, integrates business, finance, and tax expertise to help her business clients maximize growth by benefiting you in all three areas. Her company delivers tailored solutions designed to meet both business and personal financial needs. And if you want more information, go to thebusinesstrifecta.com. Verneka, welcome to the Small Biz Chat podcast.
Wow, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
All right, so I'm sure that a lot of my listeners just heard the word premium finance for the first time, and I'm not sure we all know what that is. So can you talk to us about what premium finance is and how small business owners can leverage that to build wealth and generational wealth from their business?
Sure, I would love to do that. So let me tell you, premium finance is a very little known, little talked about area of finance. So they kind of call it the Loch Ness Monster of the finance industry. So here's the great thing. It is a tremendous financial tool that is based off of leverage. So imagine if we could leverage the hard work that you've done in your business. I will say it is for what we call our higher net worth clients. Typically, people have to have a net worth of at least $2 million and up. But this is how multimillionaires have built their wealth on the side. So imagine within your business, having that net worth, you worked so hard. What if there was an account so great that even the bank will fund it for you? Imagine being able to get compound interest on that money. also by tax codes, have it illegal to have losses and illegal for this money to grow with taxes. And what does this money look like growing alongside of your business? What does that look like if we can 2, 3, 4 times plus your net worth just by you doing business, same as usual? So we're here to disrupt the status quo on how people really create more revenue and even build generational wealth, all by leveraging their business income.
Okay. So you had me at 3x, 4x your money, right? So
Yes.
I need you to help me understand. Just give me a little window, a scenario, like how does this happen? Like if I gotta have $2 million, does that mean I gotta give you 2 million? Like how does it work? Help me understand a little bit more.
No, here's the great thing. We're looking at the assets you already own. I will say within net worth, typically when people talk about that, they are doing your assets minus your liabilities. But here we don't subtract. You just have to have the assets. So for a lot of people, they can have that amount of money already in the gross within their business. Or if you think about your home has a certain net worth, your cars have a certain net worth, you want to be able to leverage that to build wealth differently. And like I said, we can use the business income to do it. And everything we do is tax deductible as well. So even though the bank is funding it, typically there is interest that the client has to pay. But guess what? One of the major issues that businesses have is the taxes. I get told all the time, I get killed on taxes. Well, I mean, we can leverage this money to make more money within the business and then turn around and knock down your taxable income, literally helping you to make more money and keep more money.
Okay, all right. So I want to. You have like piqued my whole ears up. Okay, all right. So
Yes.
tell me, how does life insurance play a role in premium finance?
Yeah. So that is one of our amazing arsenals that we can use within this account. So a lot of people don't know, really, they have been hoodooed, so to speak, on how life insurance really works. We use life insurance, and wealthy people only use life insurance to tax shelter their money. I mean, by tax code, if you could have a great account that's performing this way, creating all of this money for a lot of businesses, they are a sitting duck for liability. If we can attach life insurance to this account, and it's a different type that is very little talked about. Anything that you readily know out in the public, this is not what these multimillionaires and billionaires are doing behind the scenes. They would never let you know their secrets. They have fought hard for years, actually for decades, to keep this a secret. So life insurance is going to do a few things for us, not only tax shelter the money, which is the most important for a lot of businesses, but it makes sure that we can designate who this money goes to. Also, business owners get sick. Times happen whenever people have accidents. Sometimes life happens where an illness comes about. And a lot of times that takes a hit on the owner and the business. You want to be able to receive a check for that. There's ways that we build this in. And then fourthly, welcome to the credit game. Wealthy people do credit totally different. People are used to hearing about a 720 credit score, a 850. Wealthy people are not worried about that, or financially savvy people are not. Because here, the way we do things, that whole big life insurance is there is a line of credit. Their money keeps accumulating forever. You cannot stop compound interest if you try. It's just like the ticks on a clock. But You can go and access your own money. Your balance never goes down. You can borrow from yourself, and it comes from the life insurance. So wealthy people do credit, totally different. So welcome to how the big boys play.
Oh, wow. Wow. You dropping some serious game on here. I just want to make sure I understand what you're saying. So you're saying I buy a really big, let's just say I buy $1 million life insurance policy, and it's a whole life insurance policy. So I put more money into it. So I don't just buy it and pay premiums. I buy it and I put 200,000 in it cash, just sitting there. And then I can turn around and borrow from that same $200,000 and still have the insurance?
Well, let me stop you right there, Melinda. We don't use whole life. Whole life is something that is readily known around America. Wealthy people would never buy whole life. They laugh at that. If you think about it, if you purchase whole life insurance and you throw money over there, if something were to happen to you, typically you don't get that money, because guess what? You only purchase whole life insurance. So you're going to get exactly what you paid for. This is totally different. This is a different type. Let me tell you, there is a veil behind what these people do. It is a totally different type. And we make sure that this money is always compounding. So if anything happens, the family, you can always access your money, but the family will also get the money that was put in, plus the money that grew, plus that life insurance piece, all wrapped up in one big bow and given to you. And it is void of taxes. So we're not just talking about $1 million policy. That's small in our world. We're talking about how much do you want to borrow from yourself for life? We're talking about 10 million, 20 million. We do plenty of policies for multimillionaires and billionaires. How much do you want your money compounding and growing? And as far as the life insurance piece, would you want to just have $1 million that you can borrow for the rest of your life? Or would you like to have 20 million? Or would you like to have 50 million? And your family just gets the balance of what's left on the life insurance piece, plus the cash that accumulated in the account. So I'm telling you, we do things totally different. And the amazing thing is everything we do is tax code compliant. There's a reason why the wealthy make the money that they do and pay little to no taxes. They have the law on their side. So we're out to help small businesses, regular size, and even corporations be able to do this. It's time to level up and play the game. Don't hate the player, play the game.
I love it. I love it. All right, now listen, you talked about a lot of stuff, and this stuff sounds amazing. I mean, like too good to be true. Are there any risks associated with premium financing? How can you protect your family's generational wealth?
Let me tell you something. Anybody who knows about banks know that banks do not like risk, and you shouldn't either. So if a bank is willing to fund the account, the risk is taken out. So imagine by law, this account can only go up. We eliminate losses. And there's a reason behind that. All of this is lined by tax codes. But behind the scenes, there's a tax code that says if your account can only go one direction, up, which that's what anybody would want. Why would you want losses? If your money could only go up, only mirror the upside of the stock market, as well as compound with compound interest, and all of that money can grow void of taxes, why wouldn't you want that? There's a tax code that allows that. So you want your money going unidirectional. Anytime you have an account where your money goes up and down, it's forever labeled as an investment. If it's labeled as an investment, you not only are subject to losses, but you are subject to taxes. The two things that multimillionaires and billionaires hate the most. So we are here to bring that to you so that you can also be on their status.
Well, I think your website, thebusinesstrifecta.com, is going to be blowing up after this interview comes out. All right. So we're going to go to break. And when we come back, we're going to talk more about premium financing and how you get your money to work harder for you. I'm Melinda Emerson. You're watching the Small Biz Chat podcast, and we will be right back. Hi, I'm Melinda Emerson, the Small Biz Lady, and I want to welcome you to SmallBizLadyAcademy.com, your go-to resource for women entrepreneurs. Whether you're just starting out or ready to grow, we've got everything you need to succeed. From expert interviews to live coaching sessions, our platform offers practical tools and strategies to help you build a profitable small business. Join our vibrant community of like-minded entrepreneurs today and take your business to new heights. Visit SmallBizLadyAcademy.com and start your journey. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Small Biz Chat podcast. We're talking with Dr. Verneka Murphy, who is president of the Multimedia Consulting Group, and she is breaking it down for us about premium financing and how if you've got cash sitting in your business, she can help you make that money work harder for you. All right, Verneka, talk to us about how does the structure of premium financing impact estate planning? Or like if you wanted to have a trust with all your assets and all this stuff in it, does it interact with that or prevent you from doing that?
Oh, no. Let me tell you, the two go hand in hand. So for a lot of our people, imagine, having a fund that grows tax-free off of compound interest forever. It is actually designed for estate planning. So imagine if you were a business that was doing well, you have accumulated all of these amazing things, not only money, but assets. All of that needs to be taken care of. So while you're doing business as usual, you do have the money. But what happens if something happens to you? What happens if for some reason you are called home and you leave this earth? All of those assets quickly turn to debt for the family. It is a thin line. So for a lot of our business owners, we want to focus on them having 20 times their net worth. Depending on who they are, maybe even 30 times their net worth. You want to be able for your family to pay everything off. Everything. If you had a $20 million business, a $40 million business, you want to be able to settle the debts, have the business be debt-free. You also want to take care of the assets, make sure that they are debt-free. And imagine if your family now walks away with several $100 million in a lot of cases, just depends on how much we do, that, they get to take that money and pick up the pieces. I mean, I know death and grief is hard, but, there are some things that can make it slightly easier. So you don't want to have all of those hardships added onto the family when that happens. You want to live well, nice. You want to live well now. You want to have abundance now. You want to be able to acquire assets now that are going to add to your net worth. Have all of that making money along with this account. You also then imagine having that much money and really being able to have those choices, achieving that American dream. And now you get to that place of affluence. And all of this came from money within your business. We didn't ask you to create $1 more than what you did the year before. Let's leverage what you worked so hard for and make that money not only work for you now, but for generations to come. I guarantee you your name will be etched in your family's history. They will never forget who you are if you could set up this type of account for you and your family. This is the real definition of generational wealth.
Wow. Wow. All right. So if you've got a financial advisor, should you be like on speed dial calling this person, be like, hey, get my money out of that 401k mess. We got, like, you know what I mean? Like, what is the next step that someone who has no idea, never heard about this stuff before today,
Yes.
what should they do?
So,
Can their advisor help them?
well, you know what? I'm going to talk about that question in two parts. So I have gotten the question before, can my financial advisor do this? Well, here's the thing. Financial advisors manage money. Typically, this is not their realm. This is why you don't hear about it. Their money, or the money that they make, is in the management of your account. But remember, I said that wealthy people, multimillionaires, or financially savvy people are not trying to do anything with money management because remember, it subjects you to the two things that they don't like the most, which is loss of their money and or taxes. Both of those are criminal in our world. So we want to stay away from that. And your financial advisor, as I said, typically manages money. So no. You would want to call someone like us that was a premium finance expert. So not only do we do premium finance, but we have a signature system that is in-house exclusive to our firm. In addition to those extra pieces, we do have quite a few people on hand for you to make sure your money's always working. We bring to you CPAs, bankers, even attorneys. And I'm going to put something else out here exclusive on your podcast. We even have an IRS enrolled agent who shall remain nameless and faceless that we can run things through. So everything we do is we make sure that it is bulletproof for the law. Your financial advisor is not going to do that. Everything we set you up with does not, we take the risk out of it. What we do is in direct conflict with your financial advisor. So you want a premium finance expert like us, and we have a full team on hand for your backing. Now, secondly, how you mentioned about the 401k and the SEP IRAs, guess what? Wealthy or financially savvy people do not have those. That's the cardinal sin too. Your money is tied directly to the market. You don't want all of your wealth tied to anything that you have no control of. So the idea is to get control. People are emotional about money because they have no control. Take the emotion out of it and make sure that you command what's happening with your money. And premium finance and the way that we do things, even helping you become your own bank, will do exactly that.
Well, you have said a whole bunch, but I've got one more question for you. What is the best business advice you've ever gotten?
Best business advice, I would say, learn how money works. Previously, a little bit just to throw this in, previously I was a full-time pharmacist for 13 years before I entered the wonderful world of business, tax, and finance. Never thought I would be here. And so while I was book smart, no one ever taught me about money, ever. I used to let someone else handle my money, and everything was amazing until the time that it was not. So I have a little bit of backstory. I won't put that. I don't think you have the time for that. But the best advice that I had was to learn how money works. Take the variables out. In life, there's going to be many things that happen that you can't control. But the idea is to put a blocker in place for each and every one of those items and transfer the risk. If something happens to me, nothing happens to my money. I can figure out some resources from there. If something happens where I get sick, I didn't amass all this wealth so that I could spend it on healthcare bills or copays or prescription drugs. No, if something happens to me, my money is safe and protected, and I'm going to get a check every month. $10,000, $20,000 a month. that I don't have to claim as income. So now we put a blocker. We want to build an amazing castle of wealth. This is our kingdom here. So we want to be able to not only build this kingdom, but protect it and put the necessary pieces around it.
Well, thank you so much, Verneka Murphy from the Multimillionaire Consulting Group. Now I know why you named your company that, because y'all deal in dollars, no cents. Okay. All right. When we come back, we're going to talk about books. You want to get your thought leadership out there. We're going to talk about the pros and cons and how to do it. You're watching the Small Biz Chat podcast, and we will be right back.
Hi, I'm Melinda Emerson, the Small Biz Lady, and I want to welcome you to SmallBizLadyAcademy.com, your go-to resource for women entrepreneurs. Whether you're just starting out or ready to grow, we've got everything you need to succeed. From expert interviews to live coaching sessions, our platform offers practical tools and strategies to help you build a profitable small business. Join our vibrant community of like-minded entrepreneurs today and take your business to new heights. Visit SmallBizLadyAcademy.com and start your journey.
Hi there. Welcome back to the Small Biz Chat podcast. I'm Melinda Emerson, your host, and I hope that you are watching this on our Facebook page or our YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe and tell other people about us. We want other small business owners to be able to benefit from all of this hard-learned wisdom that we're sharing. Now it's time for me to introduce my guest. Her name is Marcia Layton Turner, and she has authored, co-authored, or ghostwritten nearly 80 nonfiction books. Typically, her clients are business owners, CEOs, and experts who desire to publish a book, create new business opportunities for themselves or their companies. Some of her past books have been New York Times, Wall Street Journal bestsellers, award winners, and commercial successes. She's also the founder and executive director of the Association of Ghostwriters, which is the leading professional association for ghostwriters. Marcia was previously the director of communications for Eastman Kodak Company in her business-to-business unit before starting her own marketing agency. For more information, you can go to MarciaLaytonTurner.com. Marcia, welcome to the Small Biz Chat podcast.
And thanks so much for having me, Melinda. I really appreciate it.
Oh my gosh. So tell me, how did you become a ghostwriter? Because it sounds like it's a good business to get into. 80 books, girlfriend? Come on. Tell me about this.
I write quickly, and that's kind of how the story started. I earned a reputation pretty early in my writing career as somebody who wrote quickly and who could learn the format of a book pretty quickly. And so when my agent heard about a sort of a problem project at a major publisher, she pitched me as somebody to solve that problem. And so what I needed to do was to work alongside this expert, subject matter expert, to help him produce his book in 8 weeks. The book was 7 months overdue. He hadn't written a word, but he had piles and piles of background information that he had organized by chapter. So we worked together to figure out what needed to be said. We would talk through it. I would read his materials, and then I would send him a draft of a chapter. And we did this, round and round again for 8 weeks until the book was done. He was happy. The publisher was happy. And so I told my agent, that was so much fun. Like, what was that? I didn't know. She said, that's ghostwriting. I was like, oh, I want more of that. And so I started letting all the publishers know, hey, if you have these other problem projects, send them my way. And yeah, now it's like 80 to 90% of all the business that I do is working with ghostwriting clients.
Well, that sounds like a good gig because you get your money up front, whether the book sells or not. So that's a good deal.
Exactly. I say, and when people say, well, how is that? Well, I'm like an accountant or an attorney. I get paid for what I do.
Right. I love it. So tell me, what would you say are the primary benefits of writing a book in the first place? Like, why is it a good thing to do as a business leader?
Well, I think there are lots of different reasons to write a book. In the business world, some of the major benefits are really about positioning yourself as the industry pioneer or the leader, the thought leader. Being able to do that then creates other opportunities. But clients don't necessarily come to me and express that directly. They might say that they want a conversation starter. Some do say that they want to position themselves as an expert. They feel like they're now well enough known in their industry. But it's also a way to package all of that expertise that we've amassed and put it into a particular product. But it's really the new opportunities that the book will create besides the actual sales of the book. Which sounds kind of funny. You would think that most people would write a book because they want to sell 1 million copies. And in the business world, that's typically not the case. Most business people come to me and say, I don't really care if it's a bestseller because I want to use it to drum up more business for my company.
Well, I kind of wanted both when I wrote my book. I just wanted to say that. But let me ask you this. What does it take to get a traditional book deal? Like, you and I are both authors, and I get asked this question a lot, but I want to know your answer to it. What does it take to get somebody to pay you to write a book? How does that work?
Yeah. Well, things have changed, as you probably have seen. But, I hear from aspiring authors all the time that they want a traditional deal. They don't really understand what that means. They think that traditional publishers, which today are the big five, which are Penguin Random House, Macmillan, Simon & Schuster, Hachette, and HarperCollins. Those are the big five. There are other traditional publishers, but those are the biggest one. And I think first-time authors assume that as long as they have a good story or they have really useful information, that's going to be enough to get a contract. And that's really not the case, unfortunately. In order to get a traditional deal, you need to have a following, what we used to call an author platform. It means that you already need to be known for whatever the subject is that you want to write about, at least in the business world. And very few first-time authors actually qualify for a traditional deal. It's not, you can't just say, oh, let me go after that. It's hard to get unless you have lots and lots of followers. So I talked to a major publisher, an acquisitions editor at a major publisher about a month or so ago. And I asked her this question. So what does it take today? Because I didn't really know what the numbers were. I'd heard that the numbers were important. But what she told me was, if you want a traditional deal, you need to have a track record of success, like you, Melinda. You need to have sold more than 25,000 copies of your previous book. So if you have a track record and you've done well, you're more likely to be able to get another traditional deal. If you don't have that track record, then you need to show that you are going to have access to lots and lots of people. You need to have social media followers in the hundreds of thousands, or you need to have paid public speaking gigs set up in the coming year that will get you in front of 25 to 50,000 people. Because these traditional publishers are risk averse. They don't want to produce a book if they're going to lose money. So they need you to reassure them that I've got people, they want to buy it, they're clamoring for this book. And that's hard for first-time authors to do, quite frankly.
Well, I like to tell people that it's like publishers are interested in capitalizing on the fame you create for yourself. They're actually not interested in making you famous. And that's the thing that I don't think most people understand. Like, they feel like, oh, I'm going to write this book and I'm going to be famous. Well, no, that's actually not how it works. That's why you see all these celebrities writing books, which you and I both know they didn't write. But the point is that they're already famous. So they know because they're famous, people will buy their book, even if they can't spell cat, right? So it doesn't even matter. I think I was a very rare bird because I got a book deal and I wasn't anybody yet. You know what I mean? Like, I was successful in business in my market, but I was not the small biz lady. I became the small biz lady because of my book. But what I know it wasn't nothing but God himself that got me my book deal because I didn't have any of the credentials that I should have had. However, my book got bumped because the market crashed in '08. And I had 18 months to build it. And it was very early in the early days of social media. So how I became Small Biz Lady was literally because I could not get my name on Twitter. Somebody else had gotten to Twitter and gotten Melinda Emerson, which was so ridiculous, right? My name is not common, right? But anyway, long story short, I became the Small Biz Lady because I needed a nickname. And my friend who was on the phone with me at the time, she was a publicist, and she was like, well, let's come up with a nickname that tells people who you are and what you do. And I was like, you mean like Mindy or Melly Mel or something? And she was like, no, fool, you're not a rapper. I'm not going to give you a name like that. She said, let's come up with a name that tells people who you are and what you do. And that was the day I became the Small Biz Lady. And what's so great about my story is I did such a good job building my brand and building my following on Twitter that my publisher, Adams Media, which was later bought by Simon and Schuster, asked me to do a workshop for all of their other authors that were in development at the time and teach them how to build a brand online. And that's when I knew that I had some sauce that I could sell other places. And, obviously we teach people how to become brands now, still to this day, 15 years later, which I can't even believe. But I just think it's interesting that people don't really kind of understand how this whole thing works. But can you explain sort of like, I've done traditional publishing and I've also self-published a book as well. Can you talk a little bit about the differences between, okay, I'm going to publish it myself, or, oh, I'm going to, beg an agent to please pitch this book, the whole, what are the sort of like pros and cons of each door you want to go through?
Sure. Well, I guess there are two big doors, or we can divide them into three, with traditional being one, hybrid and independent being another, and then the really DIY self-publishing would be a third. And although most people assume that traditional is the only way to publish a book, because until about 15 years ago, that was the case. Traditional publishers were the gatekeepers. They were the ones that decided what was going to be published and what was not going to be published. And today, there are many more options. So with traditional, the reason that it's so appealing to most people is that the publisher pays for all the production. They pay for the cover design. They pay for the interior design. They pay for the editing. They pay for the printing. They pay for the distribution. So it's a nice little package, and you really don't have to do all that much on the production side to get your book out there. That's appealing. What people don't always understand is that in order to even be considered by a traditional publisher, you need to write a pretty substantial book proposal that includes your marketing plan, which is probably the most important section of that proposal. Because again, traditional publishers are risk averse. They don't want to take the risk that the book isn't going to sell. So you need to convince them that you have enough people out there willing to buy your book. So you need to get this book proposal done. Ghostwriters like me who put together proposals will charge anywhere from $10,000 to $25,000 to put together that proposal. Once the proposal is done, you then hand it over to a literary agent that you have to find and convince to work with you. They're your sales rep, and that sales rep is going to take a 15% commission off of everything related to your book. So you write the book proposal, you get the agent, you sell the contract to a traditional publisher. Again, the big benefit is you don't have to pay anything once you get the contract. Once the book comes out, you'll earn on average about $1 a book. However, you've given up some control over like what the cover looks like and the cover price. And it's going to take 18 to 24 months before your book even comes out. So people used to have to just accept what was offered, but now they have these other two options, door B and C, or 2 and 3. So hybrid publishers, you don't have to do a book proposal and you don't have to get a literary agent. You do have to pay for the production, however. So once your book is done, you need to talk to your hybrid publishing options to see which is the best fit, meaning what kind of other books have they produced that are similar to yours. You choose your hybrid publisher, you give them the manuscript. They're then responsible for working with you to design the cover, design the interior, produce it, and send it out. But you get to weigh in on those decisions, and you get to weigh in on the cover price as well, because they're not dependent on that money necessarily. So you could price it super high, you could price it super low, wherever you want. And then your royalty is going to be based on the difference between what you pay per book to have it produced and what the cover price is. So there is the potential to make a lot more with hybrid publishers, as long as you have the upfront money to invest to get it produced.
What is that number? What is that number? Or how much does it typically cost to get a soft cover? What? 5.5 by 8?
It's 6 by 9 is pretty standard. 10 to 40,000 and up, depending upon the additional services that you might want to add on to that. But at least 10,000 to get the book produced. But the biggest benefit to hybrid publishers is, instead of that 18 to 24 month window that you have to wait, it's more like 2 to 3 months. So if you have an event coming up, maybe a corporate anniversary, somewhere where you're speaking, and you need a book, hybrid is kind of the only option you have, because traditional publishers just can't make that timeline.
Right.
If you want to spend even less, you could go the do-it-yourself, the DIY route, and use an online platform like BookBaby, where you pay per copy. There are very few options as far as the cover design, the interior, but you can do it all yourself online, and then you just pay per piece. So you could get a single book for as little as $15 and produce them one at a time. Means you're not going to make a ton, but you could have that produced in a couple of weeks. So those are the three main ones.
So as that's a lot of money you just talked about.
Yeah.
I mean, you talked about somebody paying you 10 to 25 grand to do the book proposal. Then if you decide to hybrid publish it yourself, on the low end, it's 10. On the high end, it's 40,000. So would you help me explain to people? Because I tell people all the time, I've sold 100,000 copies of my book, and I'm not rich. So, and the average nonfiction book only sells what, 4,000 copies, Marcia?
It's even lower than that, I think. However, last week, there was a new study that was released. It's at ROI.com. And it was a study done of 350 business book authors who had worked with ghostwriters and, I think, primarily hybrid publishers. And they looked at, well, so what'd you get? To your point, you spend all this money, what did you get? And I want to say 64% said that they were profitable. 90% said that these other non-monetary opportunities came about. So although they might not have sold 100,000 copies, all these other business opportunities emerged that made it worth their while, and 89% would do it again. Wow. There's specific numbers at that website. I was not involved in that, but I was super curious to see that the business people who are writing books for business reasons are getting value from it.
Oh, well, you definitely always get value from it. I mean, but I like to tell people it's a very expensive business card. You give away as many books as you sell, typically, if it's a business book. But can you talk about if I want to hire somebody like you to help me, how do I do that?
Well, first off, be very careful. Let me just say, there's so many scam websites out there that they look impressive. And so it's so easy to get taken. So be careful. I would say go to reputable sources to get names of potential ghostwriters. Turn to your colleagues, ask, has anybody used one, and get names that way. You can go to the Association of Ghostwriters. We have a directory of people who have been vetted. I've confirmed that they can write and they have produced books. American Society of Journalists and Authors also has a directory. Editorial Freelancers Association. Go to known places. Don't go to websites that are like, besteverpublisher.com. I don't know that exists, but you get my drift. They're going to say, hey, we can write and produce your book for $2,000. No, don't do it. Don't do it.
That's absolutely a scam. So if I'm going to hire a ghostwriter, what's the ballpark I better be prepared to pay? Look, I know I can't afford you, Marcia, but I'm saying like somebody else. If I wanted to hire a ghostwriter to help me, what is like low? Give me a range of what we're looking at.
Sure. Well, I mean, the range is huge. The range is anywhere from 10,000 to $1 million. Like we know that Prince Harry's ghostwriter got at least $1 million.
Wow.
But in that range, I'd say most books are between 20 to 60 is what you should expect for somebody who has done this before. Now, at the lower end, you're going to find people who may have ghostwritten a couple of books. They might be Amazon bestsellers. They don't have as much experience. And if you're willing to take that risk, you, for example, you don't need a ghostwriter, but you've done this before. You don't necessarily need a publishing consultant and a ghostwriter. So somebody at the lower end, just be aware they're not going to be as experienced. People who are so I charge 75, and that's not even that high. I know plenty of colleagues who charge 125, 150. They're working every day on this book on your behalf. And the thing that clients don't always recognize is that while the ghostwriter is slaving away, doing all the work for them, they can stay working at their day job. They're still earning money. They don't have to set aside weekends or evenings to work on the book because that's what their ghostwriter is doing. So they can keep earning an income while also having a book produced.
Right. So they can keep paying everybody. Listen.
Yeah. Well, and also drawing their own paycheck.
Sure. So, Marcia, what is the best business advice anyone's ever given you?
I think the best business advice I've gotten was from Michael Gerber in The E-Myth. Do you remember that? It's a really old book, but he talked about being a technician and being a manager or an owner. And when I read this book, I realized that I'm trying to run a business, but I'm so focused on the day-to-day, just getting that task done, that I wasn't stepping back and looking at the big picture. So he talked about working in your business, not on your business. And when I could see that difference, it really made me come up with goals and take time every day to check, like, is what I'm doing going to actually help me meet my goals, or is it more busy work?
Got it. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Marcia. You have been a world of information. And when we come back, we're going to talk about supplier diversity and how you could grow your business by getting certified. You're watching the Small Biz Chat podcast, and we will be right back.
Hi, I'm Melinda Emerson, the Small Biz Lady, and I want to welcome you to SmallBizLadyAcademy.com, your go-to resource for women entrepreneurs. Whether you're just starting out or ready to grow, we've got everything you need to succeed. From expert interviews to live coaching sessions, our platform offers practical tools and strategies to help you build a profitable small business. Join our vibrant community of like-minded entrepreneurs today and take your business to new heights. Visit SmallBizLadyAcademy.com and start your journey.
Hi there. Welcome back to the Small Biz Chat podcast. I'm Melinda Emerson, your host, the Small Biz Lady, America's #1 small business expert. And I am here with an amazing guest who's going to talk to us all about supplier diversity and certification and why you should bother, right? So let me introduce my guest. Her name is Sharon Manker, and she is an award-winning supply chain and supplier diversity strategist. She has an diversity and inclusion background and over 2 decades of doing this work. She is also an author and founder of Advocating for Change, Apologetically, LLC. Sharon has received numerous accolades, including the 2020 Corporate Advocate of the Year from the Eastern Minority Supplier Development Council, the Diversity Champion of the Year from the Women's Business Enterprise National Council, the Veteran Advocate of the Year, National Veteran Business Development Council. Listen, she believes in helping folks. All right. I think we can get this from her background. But she has also been recognized as one of Diversity Plus Magazine's top 15 women in power impacting diversity. And she's really dedicated to influencing meaningful change for individuals and businesses facing unprecedented odds. For more information on her and all of the things that she does, head over to SharonManker.com. Sharon, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you for having me, Melinda, the small biz lady. It's good to see you.
Listen, tell me, how did you get into this supply chain, supply diversity? Like, how did that become your jam?
You know what's so crazy is I wanted to go to school to be a lawyer, right? That was what I wanted to go to school to be. And somehow I ended up in an internship in supply chain in Philadelphia in a health system in their corporate supply chain. And then I worked my way up. When I worked my way up from a buyer to a category manager to now a director of supplier diversity. So I've been in multiple different industries, from healthcare supply chain to insurance supply chain and finance, and also in the utility space. And I knew that what I like to do was like contract management. So I always tell people my super skill is I can make salesmen cry. No, it's maybe it's because I'm short, maybe it's because they might be intimidated by my shortness, but I learned how to negotiate well and how to make those deals and get the proper ROI on contracts. And so I was able to take that and go from company to company, a lot of publicly traded companies nationally. And now I'm in the financial services, mortgage services company with a mortgage services company. And what I do here is I'm starting their first ever supplier diversity program. So it's like starting over again, but it's new and it's a challenge. And I kind of like puzzles. So it's a good space to be.
All right. So tell us, what is supplier diversity and how can it benefit a small business?
Okay. So supplier diversity is programs and initiatives that corporations are putting together in order to make an economic impact where we live, work, and serve. Supplier diversity is making sure that women, veteran, minority, and LGBTQ businesses have an equitable opportunity to bid on contracts. What does that mean? That means we are here to advocate for you. We are here to speak up and say, okay, you have this contract that's about to expire. Are we considering a woman, veteran, minority, or LGBTQ business? Are we making sure that our supply chain ecosystem is inclusive of diverse suppliers, small business and diverse suppliers, in all that we do? Now, just for clarification, not every business that's small is diverse, and not every business that's diverse is small. And so what we do is we fight against those biases every day. It's a challenge, but it happens.
All right. So how does one get in how does one position themselves to be considered for an opportunity with a major Fortune 500 company? Like, what do I got to do that?
Well, there are so many different ways. So I'm going to tell you the best ways. Okay. So here are the industry secrets. One, make sure that you use your network properly. Your network is your net worth, is how I describe it to most business owners. If you are certified by a local certifying agency, use that agency as a way to partner with the major corporations that you want to meet. How do you use them? You make sure that you show up at events, at networking events, at matchmaking events, virtual or in person, at conferences that those corporations are going to be at, so that you can start to build relationships. And then once you start to build those relationships, you got to be patient. Please know that we know what's going on inside our walls and beyond our walls. We know what limitations we have, what sourcing opportunities are now versus 2-3 years from now. Sometimes we know and sometimes we don't. So position yourself that you can meet the key stakeholders, the decision makers, and the advocates like me that will speak up for you when you're not in the room. Also, make sure that you contact those local agencies and that you contact them and you say, hey, I want to meet Sharon Manker from XYZ company. How can I get in the room with her? And I have had people just call me, hey, this person's been trying to reach you. Can you meet? Sure. So we're like a family of people that, no one really knew until after the pandemic or during the pandemic when people started saying supply chain. Nobody knew what I did until the pandemic. Nobody knew. Then everybody knew, oh, you're the expert because you know how to get things in. We know how to make things happen because we grease the wheels and make sure that products get from A to Z. But make sure you're using those partnerships, those connections, those networks, whether it is at an agency or even at a university that you attended or somewhere that you volunteer. Use those networks to build your advisory board of folks that will get you to other people, right? Because you want to make those 6-degree connections with everyone to be able to get to what you need to do. But you also got to be patient because it's not going to always be as quick and easy. And like social media, I want something, I can type it in. It don't work that way in corporate America.
It doesn't.
You got to be patient.
I once had a 6-year wait for a contract for a corporation. Now, I'm not going to tell you the name of it, but you shop there. Anyway, so here's the thing. Talk to me about WeBank and NMSDC, because those are like the largest certifying bodies that people may be more familiar with. But there's certainly state and local, like the city of Philadelphia has one, the state of Pennsylvania has one, every state has one, right? But talk about NMSDC and WeBank, because those are like nationwide certifications, right?
Yes. All right. So in the certification world, I call it the alphabet soup of acronyms because, you NMSDC and EMSDC and it's just too much, right? But here's the gist. For women-owned businesses, WeBank, the Women Business Enterprise National Council, is the largest certifying body for women-owned businesses nationally. WeBank has regional partner organizations, which are their affiliates that are regional around the country. Here in Philadelphia, you have WeBank East, which is Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware. Okay, let's pause there. NMSDC is the National Minority Supplier Development Council. They are the national certifying body for minority-owned businesses. And they have regional affiliates that are in different regions. For this region, it is EMSDC, the Eastern Minority Supplier Development Council. So those two are for women and minorities. Then you have veterans. So you have MVBDC and NAVOBO. So those are the veteran certifying agencies. Oh, it gets better. Then you have the Asian American Pan-Atlantic Council. So the US PANACC, right? Then you go to, so these are the national certifying bodies. And then you also have disability in for the disabled persons owned businesses. So those are the national. Those national certifications, once you have a certified certificate or letter of certification with those organizations, there are sometimes reciprocity agreements or fast track in place that will get you a state level certification. Why is that important? Some corporations, just because you have your third party certification, if they are doing work or a bid and they need subcontractors for a state or local city contract, you also have to already be in their state or city directory and have that certification in there. So the reciprocity really, really counts when it comes to that, because I would have suppliers come and they say, oh, but I'm certified in the state of New Jersey. I'm like, oh, that's nice, but this is a Pennsylvania bid. Sorry, I can't help you. Like, and it's just like that. And I would remind them, like, all you got to do is take that same paperwork, push that button, and do that process. And a lot of times it is a lot of paperwork to get certified. However, the value proposition for getting your certification, for having your business documents already there and together, for making sure that you can say, I am woman owned, or I am minority owned, or I am veteran owned, carries weight. Now, it also can backfire. So I'm going to tell you both scenarios. Okay. Mm-hmm. When it carries weight as a value add, that is important, right? Because what you want to be able to do is showcase what solutions you have that can bring innovation and cost savings to whatever corporation you want to partner with, then bring your certification as the value add. On the flip side, when you have different corporations that are looking to do business with more minority owned, more women owned, or because that is in their region or that is what their customer base is emulating, that's when you use it on the flip side.
I understand. They're never going to give you a contract just because you got a certification. That's for
pretty
sure.
much. Pretty much. That's just
bad on the table. It's still got to be people better, faster, no matter what certification you got, right?
Absolutely. You got to be able to deliver, and you got to be able to meet the insurance requirements, and you got to be able to pass risk management. You got to be able to make sure that you are going to deliver. And then, oh, yay, you're certified. Thank you.
Right. All right, Ms. Sharon, tell us, what is the best business advice that you have ever been given?
Woo. The best business advice I've ever been given, I'm going to say, it's to fail forward. I listened to a podcast maybe about 6 or 8 months ago from Caroline Wanga from Essence. And she did this whole series on 7 fails a day. And it stuck to me and it spoke to me, because if you do something that don't work, you keep going. Just try something else. If you want to do this and it don't work, just try something else. I published my first book. I didn't know what I was doing. I self-published it. I just was watching TikToks and I learned something from TikTok and I figured out how to publish my first book. And I was like, well, that was all right. I'm going to try it again. And I learned from that mistake, from those mistakes, and still doing well. And I published my first children's book last year. So it was like, okay, well, I did that one. Well, now I want to do this fiction book. So you keep going. My whole thing is I want to be able to say, if I were to leave here today or tomorrow, well done, thy good and faithful servant. If you saw somebody that needed help, you did it. If you saw a student that needed information, you gave it. And if you saw a business owner that needed some growth, you figured out an opportunity or a resource for them.
I love that. And I love you. So I appreciate that so much. Thank you so much. That was so helpful and so compact. And I appreciate that. Listen, what we're going to do now is I'm going to bring back all of my guests. We're going to bring back Verneka Murphy. We're going to bring back Marcia Layton. And why am I blanking on your last name? That is ridiculous. Turner. I'm going to bring back all of you guys right now, because we're going to do one of my favorite parts of the show, and it is our panel that we call Hit It and Quit It. So ladies, please come back and join us. We're going to have a quick conversation about stuff that's going to be really quick. Now, I only have 2 rules. I ask all of you the same question. You only have 30 seconds to answer, and you cannot repeat somebody else's answer. You're going to get the cowbell. So I don't want to give anybody that. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to ask you, Verneka, first, because you've been on ice the longest. Then we're going to come to you, Marcia. Then you, Sharon. So the first question is, what is your favorite podcast? Verneka, what is your favorite podcast?
Biz Lady.
You flatter me. Thank you very much. Marcia, what is your favorite podcast?
After Small Biz Lady, I would say I listen to Jennifer Allwood. She has some good business tips here and there.
I like Jennifer too. All right, Miss Sharon, what is your favorite podcast?
Well, after the Small Biz Lady, for reasons I don't want to name because she's a fellow dragon, then I would go to Andrea Lawful Sanders, because she gives me hope.
I like that. It's not a business one, but it's still a good one. All right. Next, I'm going to come to you, Marcia, first. You, Sharon, and Verneka, you last. What is your favorite business app? I would say Audible,
because I love to download business books and listen to them in my car.
I'll go with that. I'll go with that. All right, Sharon, what's your favorite business app?
I like LinkedIn Learning because I can get audio things, and that's what I do in the morning with my coffee. Is I find something to elevate myself with.
I like it. I like it. All right, Miss Verneka, what's your favorite business app?
Tell you, Miss Marcia over there got my answer, but I'm probably going. I'm going to say. Let's see. That is so hard.
Honestly, I thought you was
going to say my audio. I'm going to say my audio Bible.
Your audio Bible. Okay. All right. I'm going to give you that. But I thought you was going to say Cash App. Anyway. All right.
Oh, yeah. I like that too.
Well, my Cash App got hacked years ago. So.
Okay. Yeah. So we are not advocating for Cash App then. Okay. All right. Next question. This one, I'm coming to you first, Sharon, then you, Verneka, and then you, Marcia. What is your favorite old school marketing tip?
Ooh, old school marketing tip. I would say make sure that you are catering to the audience you're trying to get to. Have different, I have different themes for my different social media on purpose based on that audience, older, younger versus millennial. So cater to the audience.
I like it. I like it. Marcia, what's your favorite old school marketing tip?
I would say always be pursuing publicity. Okay. I'm trying to get media exposure regularly.
I like it. I like it. All right, Verneka, what's your favorite old school marketing tip?
I would say be authentic, be relatable, and solve problems.
I like that. I like that. Be authentic is a great one. Mine is just use the phone. Magic happens on the phone. People are over reliable on texts and email. You pick up the phone, people. There's magic that happens there. All right. Last question, ladies. I'm going to start with you, Verneka, and then you, Marcia, and then you, Sharon. What is your favorite business book that you've ever read?
Mine's probably going to be a little different. I'm going to say Becoming Your Own Banker by Nelson Nash. He started me along this path, but we were able to take some of the principles and kind of make his system, make it into our own authentic system. So that's my answer.
Love it. Love it. Marcia, what's your favorite book?
This is an old one, an oldie but goodie. Paul and Sarah Edwards, who are known as like the home-based business gurus, they did one called Getting Business to Come to You. And I really like that one.
I like that book too. All right. Miss Sharon, what is your favorite business book you've ever read?
Back when I was in high school, Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People, because I wanted to make sure I got where I needed to go and I had to get there. So I had to influence people to move out of my way.
I love that. I love that book too. My favorite business book is 10X is Easier Than 2X by Dan Sullivan. That book is gold, 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 gold. I've read it 3 times. All right. Thank you all so much for being my guest today on the Small Biz Chat podcast. Thank you to premium finance expert, Dr. Verneka Murphy. You can reach her at thebusnesstrifecta.com. Thank you to Marcia Layton Turner, president of the Ghostwriters Association. You can learn more about her organization at associationofghostwriters.org. And you can learn more about supplier diversity, or you could buy a great book from Miss Sharon Manker, and her website is sharonmanker.com. Thank you all for joining me for this episode of the Small Biz Chat podcast. For the month of November, we are offering a free 30-day trial in Small Biz Lady Academy. If you are a woman entrepreneur looking for great resources, live Q&As with me, and a confidential community of people rooting for you, Small Biz Lady Academy is for you. And all of our content is available in English and Spanish. So join the movement today. The mission of the Small Biz Chat podcast is to end small business failure. I'm Melinda Emerson, the Small Biz Lady, America's #1 small business expert. And I'm going to leave you with this. You never lose in business. Either you win or you learn. God bless everybody.